All right, welcome back to McKale Madness, a little mini pod action for you as we preview the Oregon Ducks versus the Arizona Wildcats. Corey, obviously you weren't on a post-game show or anything like that yesterday. Your overall thoughts on Arizona just getting the dub against Akron yesterday?
At first I was underwhelmed. I didn't like the way we played the first 10 minutes of the game, but I'm going to credit that to just opening game round one jitters, feeling everybody out. I thought it was sloppy at times, but then Arizona got down to business, absolutely destroyed them with points in the paint, played through their bigs like I said they should. So I was happy to see Arizona take the easy path. No Caleb Love heroics needed. It was a good win. Lots of guys got on the court. But in the end of the day, you win the game in the manner which is easiest for you. And yesterday was just beat them up inside, dominate the paint. And then we saw some sharp shooting from some guys. Guys that hadn't gotten looks in a long time were getting looks against Akron that you just don't get in Big 12 basketball because the defense is at such high level. But it was good to see some guys establish some connectivity with the rim. And anytime you turn right around and play a game and a day and a half later, you want to feel good in that gym. So, Jaden Bradley was knocking down shots. Or Deli was knocking down shots. And you hope that confidence carries over to Sunday.
Yeah, no, I thought, the way they started out the game, they hit, three threes by three different players. And I felt like at the time, like, all right, that's all good, but don't lose who you are just because you're hitting these threes early on. And that's kind of what happened for the next stretch of, 5 minutes where they weren't really getting the ball inside. They were relying on the outside shot. And that's what I was saying. Like, hey, the only way Arizona loses this game if they get out of character and they don't do the things that got them there. And I was glad to see that they went back to who they were. They focused on getting, paint touches and getting the ball down low. And then it was just belt to ass after that. It wasn't even close. So, it's kind of what we talked about the other day. As long as Arizona played Arizona basketball, they didn't fall into the trap of the tournament and trying to play hero ball. They were going to be fine. And that's exactly what happened. Now, this is a different animal in Oregon because Oregon is not Akron. And Oregon, if you didn't get a chance to watch them play against Liberty, it's not going to be an easy game whatsoever. Oregon was looking as electric as they have all season last night, especially getting out to an 18-2 lead early in that game, and it was never close. And a lot of people had Liberty pulling the upset, and that just was not even in the cards last night for Oregon. So
a lot of people are just Kevin.
Oh, a lot of people. I had Oregon losing too. So, but that's the trap of the tournament, right? It wasn't really because it was Oregon. It was just because it's Liberty. They shoot threes, and okay, I'm gonna pick them because that's just a bracket, right? It's not. But if it was a regular season game, would I ever pick Liberty over Oregon? Never in a million years. That's the pros and cons of the tournament. Listen, Oregon is coming in. They are kind of they're a little all over the place. They're one of the more efficient teams, especially defensively. They're a top 50 offensive efficiency team. So is Arizona. Arizona's top 25 in both, actually. But the difference maker is they got playmakers at just about every single position, or shot makers at every single position. And Arizona is going to have to play solid all-around basketball to win this game. Let's start off with the matchups, and let's just talk about Nate Biddle right off the bat, because he's a big that Arizona really hasn't had to face this year. Big, tall guy, can shoot from the perimeter, can rebound. You can do a little bit of everything for Oregon. Let's start there. And how does Arizona attack Nate Biddle?
Well, let me break it down for Arizona fans out there and keep it simple because that's what I like to do. This is the Kansas game all over again. This is Kansas a third time. That's exactly who we're talking about. A streaky team with athletic players and a big who, the longer he's on the floor, the worse it is for you. They have to take the same approach that they did with Hunter Dickinson. Put him in ball screens. Biddle always plays back on the ball screen. So what does that mean? It means you're going to get the 15-foot jumper from the free throw line. You're going to get the one-handed floater in the lane. He's not going to trap ball screens. He can't trap ball screens. He's too big and he's too slow. So you put their five, bring them away from the rim. Tobe Veesaar, they have to attack the rim when they get the ball. but I think you do the same thing in terms of attacking him, taking it straight at him. He gets in foul trouble, this game is over. Oregon plays 7, 8 deep, but those 3 guys only get 10 to 15 minutes apiece. So the starting 5 really is their crew. That's the backlash from NIL. You play who you pay. You don't have a lot of depth now. You got to spend your money and get the talent, and your bench is your bench. So this is the Kansas game. Put Biddle in ball screens. Get early fouls on him if you can, but you have to test him. Don't allow him to play 6 minutes, rest 3 minutes, play 6 minutes, rest 2 minutes. Then you're kind of dealing with him all game. He's a capable big. He can score. He kind of reminds me of the kid from UCLA who kind of had a field day against Arizona in terms of that high post jumper that he can knock down. Mm-hmm. So you got to be in attack mode. I don't like this game, Saul. I've never liked this game from the moment the brackets came out. This is you playing an unfamiliar opponent within 36 hours, and it's a good opponent. They beat San Diego State, tournament team. They beat Texas A&M, tournament team. They beat Alabama, tournament team. They beat Wisconsin, tournament team. These boys can play. There are no these guys finish. Oregon finishes in the top 6 of the Big 12. And you think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you the truth. They're streaky, though. This is the same team that also lost 5 games in a row. So the game is there to be won for Arizona. This will feel like a Big 12 matchup. I think it's the same game plan from Kansas.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree at all. I think that's exactly what we're looking at when it comes to, Arizona's chances against Oregon. They've got to play good. There is no like, hey, we're having an off day and we're going to somehow find this out. Like, unless Oregon is on that bad streaky mode as well, and then it could be ugly, right? But it could also be one of those situations where this could be I'm in between because both teams are good defensively. And so you think that the score should be around the 60s to 70s to wrap it up. But I could easily see both teams playing at a high level offensively and just shooting the lights out. Like that's the kind of streakiness that you'll see, especially from Oregon. Not so much Arizona. You haven't seen Arizona get on like those hot streaks from the perimeter really almost at all. I think yesterday was actually one of their better their better perimeter days of the year because they got so many wide open shots. They're not going to get that amount of wide open shots this time. And then athletically, outside of Biddle, I would agree. I would say that Oregon matches up physically, athletically with Arizona in that regard, and so they can hold up. But yeah, Biddle is the key, and it is one of the keys that you can use to get inside the door to a victory. If you should so choose. Jackson Shelstad has been wildly inconsistent as well. He really struggled down the stretch of the season this year, to wrap up the year. Didn't have a great Big Ten tournament. And then he comes out last night and just shoots the lights out. Like, that's kind of to your point about Oregon. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. Now, Arizona can dictate a lot of this. KJ Lewis, I thought, defensively, you just know what you're going to get from him. He's going to give it his all, and he's going to play at a high level. Who do you match him up against on the offensive side? I think Shelstad's one of those guys, but they got a lot of guys that can score, Corey. So yeah. I don't know who the other head of the snake is. If you had to ask me today to make a choice, I think they can go one of several different ways.
TJ Bamba and KJ Lewis are a wash to me. They're the same type of player. Bamba, extremely high energy guy, great attack in the basket, good rebounder, put up a lot of points on a team when he was at Wazoo that really never went anywhere. That guy is a handful getting downhill. I think the difference in this game will be what you get from Veesaar. What do you get from Carter Bryant? Does Del Orso get loose for a 3 here and there? Trey Townsend, his continued solid play. Anything you get from Trey Townsend is going to be a plus. Does Caleb Love uncork and pop a couple of threes? Does he knock down 4 or 5 threes this game? He always has that capability. But I think Oregon is a team, and see, to understand this game, you got to understand the history of Oregon. Dana Altman embraced the transfer portal years before NIL. This is his formula, patching together some transfer portal guys, some JUCO guys, and making things happen. An unbelievable winning percentage in March. I think they're like 77% win percentage in March. His teams always get better at the end of the year, but sometimes his guys go haywire because they're all hired guns coming to Oregon for 1 or 2 years. And I've seen Oregon fall apart and get beat by 20. And then I've seen Oregon overachieve like they did against Arizona last year in the Pac-12 championship or the tournament where they beat Arizona. And then, it's just you never know. I know that this Oregon team doesn't play well from behind because they turn into hero ball and they start shooting bad shots and they become to get inconsistent. It is crucial that Arizona get a lead early and play solid defense. And the other thing about Oregon, they will absolutely slit your throat with bad plays. If you turn it over, transition 3. If you jack up a quick bad shot, outlet layup. If you throw a weak pass and it gets picked off, transition. They feast on your mistakes. Now, that doesn't mean you come out tight, but they're the type of team that can really only dominate you if you hand them the ball, if you make bad plays, if you dribble into double teams, if you spin into traps, if you do stupid things like that. They are playing with house money. You cannot give them any house money. Ball security, job number 1 for Arizona. Attack them in the paint, apply that pressure to see if they can defend without fouling, because in a game like this, they're only going to go 7, maybe 8 deep, but those bench players aren't going to play a lot. Make them deal with foul trouble.
All right, you're there. Now, give me one key. Let's just each pick a player that we're looking for that can make the difference in this game from each team. Why don't you start first with? Let's start with Oregon.
They're not, I think, starting for Oregon, one player that's going to make a difference for them is, I think, Bartholomew is one of those streaky guys, but I think TJ Bamba and Angel are the guys that I'm looking at, because when they get off, it's a wrap. Oregon wins. They win. If Oregon gets a lead and those two guys are cooking, it's hard to play catch up with them. But what you have to do is force the ball to the perimeter shooting, no 1-on-0 plays where they get dunks or layups. But I would be keeping my eye on Oregon on those two. I know what Biddle's going to do. And I don't know who the defensive assignment is for Biddle, because he can shoot over Awaka and he can shoot over Townsend. And I don't want to put Veesaar on him early to risk foul trouble, because we're going to need him. So those two guys, I would look at, Bamba and Angel as the key guys for Oregon. If we can keep them out of the game, Arizona has a good chance to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Shellstad. I just feel like, from a swag standpoint, you saw last night how much influence he had on his team in terms of just, kind of a little bit of trash talk, a little bit of bravado, and I think those things can go a long way in the tournament. And in this game, listen, this is somewhat of a virtual home game for Oregon, because they're playing in Seattle. Eugene's only about 3 or 4 hours away, so it's very accessible. And so I kind of wonder how much of a home court advantage Oregon will have to some degree. But Arizona fans also travel pretty well to Seattle as well. So yeah. We'll see about that. On the Arizona side, Corey, who you got?
It's crucial that JB have a good game out front, because the ball will be in his hands. And if I can guess what Tommy's going to do, he will bring Biddle out in ball screens. Biddle's going to stay at the free throw line. He's not going to come out and hedge. So when JB turns the corner, the decisions that he makes early on, that stop and pop J that's been money from the free throw line, it does two things. One, it pushes pressure on Oregon to change up, because now if you trap, now we're getting open looks from Caleb and KJ and other people. But if Jaden Bradley can establish some early scoring off that ball screen, it then pushes the pressure on Oregon to change their defense. And whoever's guarding him, if it's Bamba or if it's Shellsteed, dude, no one likes to get screened over and over and over again. Like, that wears you down. So put some miles on those point guards early on. Bang them up, put them in ball screens, wear them down, and it'll pay dividends towards the end of the game when those guys are just flat out tired. So Jaden Bradley, for me, I want him to set the tempo from Arizona, because when he's getting and ones, when he's hitting floaters in the lane, you see that Arizona team just relax and be like, okay, he's here. Now let's all join in. I don't want to see him come out and be the passive distributor. This game will be won off tempo and tempo alone, and he can dominate and establish tempo in the opening minutes if he wants to.
I like that. I like that. You know, I'm gonna go a little bit with the hot hand and somebody who's just really been coming on of late after a really tough season. I'm gonna say Trey Townsend. Trey, you know, again, we saw it the other day against Akron. His ability to be able to take care of mismatches and small guys like down low on the block is key. And I think he's getting more and more comfortable. His confidence is coming back. I think he's feeling himself a little bit. And I would say ride the hot hand a little bit. You know, if he's got an opportunity against somebody that's, you know, equal size, let him go at it, because I think his versatility means so much to Arizona. And if he can play at a high level, then that changes the entire dynamic of Arizona basketball as we move forward. So I think Trey Townsend is the guy that I'm looking at. His defense has picked up of late as well. Everything kind of blends into each other, Corey. You know how it goes. Like sometimes you start feeling yourself on the offensive side. All of a sudden the defense starts picking up. You're a little bit more aware. You're a little bit more juiced, and you're a little bit more into it. Instead of thinking about the worst, you're thinking about what can I do next. And I think that's a key point right there. And so, yeah, you know, I'm excited to see, you know, how Arizona fares. And one last key. Let's go. Let's say, you know, Oregon wins if
Arizona doesn't run. Oregon wins if Arizona, you know, walks it up and it's a 65-68 ball game. That's how Oregon wins. I don't think Oregon has the horses to go with Arizona. I was thrilled, even though it was against lesser competition, I was thrilled to see Arizona push the ball and make them pay and get some highlight reels and have some feel-good buckets. Oregon will hand you the ball. They didn't do it last night because there's just no defensive pressure from Liberty. They're not going to turn you over. But Oregon will make bad decisions. Oregon will take ill-advised shots. There will be long rebounds. There will be opportunities for Arizona to get those quick 5-second buckets and then get back on D. And if you put a couple of those back to back to back, you got a chance to beat Oregon. But Oregon wins if it's a low-scoring affair.
Okay. And I will say Oregon wins if let's go. Let's say like Oregon wins if they control the pace, like you said. But I think more importantly, they are able to turn over Arizona as well. I think, you know, last night we saw Arizona with 12 turnovers in the first half against the Akron team who just does not play defense, and so that just can't happen, right? Against an Oregon team who does play defense, turning the ball over will kill you as well because it keeps them in the game. And I agree. I think if Arizona plays clean basketball, not even efficiency in terms of offensive or defense, I think if they just play clean, I think they win this game. But if they play, we've seen them have some stinkers. We've seen them have some turnover margins in the teens. Like, they've got to stay away from that. And if they can do that and play clean basketball, they'll be fine. Arizona wins, in my opinion. Arizona wins if they just play Arizona basketball. I think if they're just solid all the way across the board, and I would say this too, if they can get, I'd say 6 to 8 threes tomorrow, cumulatively, I think they win. Especially if they hit 8. If they hit 8, I think that's a wrap. I think they'll win that game. They don't even have to take that many threes. They're fully capable of doing it, but 8 threes seems like it's a low number, but not for Arizona. It isn't. Arizona is not the highest volume 3-point shooting team in the country, but just that little bit of a threat can really make a world of difference inside the arc. And so I think Arizona, if they hit 8 threes, they'll win this game. Corey, how does Arizona win this game? Arizona wins if
the bigs get 20 points.
Combined?
Any combination of those three, Townsend, Awaka, Veesaar, if we can get 20 points out to 3 of those guys, we got a chance to win. Because you talk about threes, there are a few different kinds of threes that you can hit. There's the ball screen 3 where the guy goes under and you shoot. There's the penetration kick 3. There's the one dribble step back pull up 3 that Caleb Love will shoot. I don't want to see those threes against Oregon. I want to see Veesaar on the block, one dribble kick out, Deli wide open. I want to see threes that come off the damage that the big men create. Those are the wide open threes that you're going to shoot at 50, 60%. The one dribble and one pull-up defended threes, those are trash. You're going to shoot those at like 20%. I don't want to see Arizona playing handball and shooting threes, and then everybody's, oh, we were cold from three. No, look at the kind of threes we're shooting versus the kind of threes we shot yesterday, which were great looks, but they were based off attacking action, rotations that forced us to shoot the three. Anybody can shoot a three. All you got to do is be behind the line. Does that mean it's a good three? Absolutely not. But get the bigs involved early. If Arizona plays perimeter basketball that plays into Oregon's hands, Oregon cannot foul, which is the main rule for every team in the tournament. Stay out of foul trouble. Foul trouble has cost you games in regular seasons, and it will certainly cost you games in high leverage moments like in the NCAA tournament. So I agree with you. Shoot the three, but Arizona wins if they pay attention to their bigs early on. And I'm going to say one last thing, because people think I'm crazy. This game will be more difficult than the next game, assuming they may end up
the other night. Yeah, that's crazy.
This game will be harder than the next game. The next game is a high-level game. Hell, you play 10, 12 of those in the Big 12. It's par for the course. This game against this opponent, quick turnaround time, quick prep time, unfamiliar players, unfamiliar tendencies. This game is going to require so much mental focus to just come around and play solid against a very dangerous team. If Arizona wins this game, they win the next one too. I don't even care if it is Duke. They'll beat Duke. I'm not worried about that. But they got to win this one tomorrow.
All right. You heard it from Corey. Very confident that if they can get past this one, the road ahead looks mighty fine. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Obviously, tomorrow is the matchup, Oregon versus Arizona, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. I know we're all looking forward to it. A Pac-12 rematch. Hey, it's always good to see an old friend. Maybe not after the game tomorrow for one of these teams, but we'll see. That's Corey Williams. You can follow him at College Corey on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman, and you can follow the show at PHNX_Wildcats. Until next time, folks. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.